Alright, y'all, let's get into Ephesians chapter 4. What is Ephesians chapter 4 trying to tell us? As always, we're going to start with the chapter context. The first half of Ephesians focuses mostly on doctrine, setting up ideas related to the Christian faith. The last half, beginning in chapter 4, puts those theories into practice. Paul begins by emphasizing the ultimate unity of all Christians, regardless of individual spiritual gifts. Paul also begins to explain how knowledge of the truths should translate into action. Chapters 4, 5, and 6 feature specific real-world applications of Christianity to daily life. So let's break this down. Chapter 4, Part 1. So chapter 4 describes both the unity of believers and the new hope with Christians to have in Jesus. The passage begins with Paul's mention of his imprisonment and his focus on Christian unity, Ephesians 4, 1 through 16. There, he appeals to Christians to live in a way which reflects the grace we have been given by God. The second part of this passage develops the concept of new life believers have. God almighty, is another paper cut. The second part of this passage develops the concept of the new life believers have in Jesus, Ephesians 4, 17 through 32. Paul begins to assign specific actions and attitude to the new self all believers ought to take an oath. Is that right?
Yeah.
The first part of the chapter, Ephesians 4, 1 through 6, begins a new section in which Paul urges his readers to live according to the calling they have received as believers. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 4. Chapter 4, verse 1. This includes humility, gentleness, patience, and love. Ephesians 4:2. Unity and peace were essential. Ephesians 4:3, with Paul noting the importance of one spiritual hope, Lord, faith, baptism, God, and Father of all. Period. Ephesians 4, 5 through 6. Grace is given to each as Christ desires. Ephesians 4:7. Paul then quotes from Psalm 68:18, Ephesians 4:8, as the basis for his next teaching. He contrasts ascending and descending, referring most likely to Christ coming from heaven to earth. However, some have understood this as Christ is descending below the earth in some type of activity during 3 days between his death and resurrection. Verse 11 begins with an important discussion of church leaders. Paul includes apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors,